Connect. Capitalize. Go.
Hope you're having a great day. It's the podcast for business with your host, Eugene Rowe. Visit the site now, right now, hombabiz.com, HOMBABIZ.com. Sign up at the top of the page for our free newsletter that helps you discover your number one asset and how to use it to live the life that you want. Right now, it's time to talk about homes, real estate, those types of assets. I've got Miss Latoya Tolbert Watson on the line with me with Toya Sells Homes. Latoya, thanks for taking your time out.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about you and how you got started selling homes.
You know, originally, I didn't even know what my niche was. I went to college in Santa Monica, and after leaving Santa Monica College, I still didn't feel like I was, in my niche. So I actually started to do makeup. So I went to school briefly at a trade school for makeup. Then I started working closely with photographers in doing that. And while I was working with the photographers, I kind of fell in love with photography. So as I'm doing different jobs, just trying to kind of get ahead, and at the time, I was kind of living place to place with my son. I happened to get a job with a real estate agent by the name of Anita, and she was actually an African-American woman like myself. And throughout our conversation, I just noticed that she was, very professional. Somebody, I could see myself being, she had the suit on, she had the whole get up, and her conversation was just so amazing, and her love for real estate, it really kind of outpoured. And I took interest in me. We had a long conversation, and she said, you know what, if I can do it, I know you can do it. And, her story was like really similar to mine. So I started taking classes, and I went to try to take the test. I failed the first time.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And then I went back. I said, you know what? I was too confident the first time. So I went back, and I took it the second time and failed again.
Oh, no. Toya.
I know. And I was like, okay, now something's going on. I'm not sure what's going on, but I need to really crack down and study a little bit harder. And so the third time I walked in the building, I said, you know what, I am not leaving here unless I pass. And then I prayed like in the car before I went. So I walked in there, and when the lady gave me the paper, she kind of gave me a wink, and I knew I passed. I was like, oh, my gosh. So that was the start of my real estate career. Not knowing what I was doing, just based off of, working with other realtors, talking with other realtors, but especially talking with Anita, made me really, really confident that this could be something that, I could really get into. In the first 6 months, I didn't get a transaction. I'm panicking at this point because now I'm using, my savings, a little bit of savings that I did have. Mind you, I'm living from house to house at this point. I'm using it all up. It's drying up. So 6 months later, I get my first transaction. It was super hard. I ended up double ending. But ultimately, I had a really, really good mentor who kind of walked me through it. And that was the start of my career. And although it was really, really hard, I mean, it all paid off. All that hard work and stress and failing tests and studying here and doing open houses here, I felt like that was the epitome of the start of my career. So I was astounded, especially the commission check. I mean, I doubled in on a deal. I'm looking at the check like, oh my God, biggest check I've ever gotten.
It was all worth it. Oh, man, we're talking to Latoya Tolbert Watson right here with Toya Sells Homes on the podcast for business. Make sure you visit the website, homebabiz.com. Sign up for the newsletter, learn your number one asset, and learn how to use it to live the life that you want. Now, Latoya, you said you failed the real estate exam first time. You failed it second time. By the second time, what types of doubts were you facing in your own mind? And then what type of doubts were you facing from the people that knew and loved you?
You know what? I didn't expect it to be so hard. I was actually, being that I was a mom, I didn't have a lot of time in between to really just crack down on, my studying at the time. But I told myself, okay, am I not studying enough? I mean, is this really something that I can really get into? Because it seems really hard, because the things on the test, it didn't seem, everything that went over in the school. So I'm like, am I studying the right thing? I don't know I feel like I didn't know what I was doing. And then speaking to my mom, she just said, pray. Pray about it. Make sure this is something that you want. And, if it's something that you want, keep going. Just keep going. Keep going. And I said, okay. The second time around, I just said, you know what? If I don't do this the third time, maybe it's something I need to, think about again, kind of rethink it. But then when I walked in, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to leave here unless I have that passing grade. So, I mean, maybe it was just like my confidence booster of, challenging myself, saying that you're going to get, if you don't get this, then maybe this is not for you. But when I walked in there, and I got it, it kind of solidified, like, okay, maybe God's telling me, okay, this is it. Hard work is not going to come overnight. So I felt like, okay, I worked hard enough, maybe this is it for me.
Now I'm curious. When you took it the first time and the second time, and what changed? Was it easier or harder, or were you just in the zone when you walked in that third time?
The first time I thought I had it in the back because I studied, but then when I walked in and I saw the questions, I didn't remember half the questions, that were, on my practice test. I said, oh my God, maybe I didn't study hard enough. And it was, they try to trick you on the test a little bit. Sometimes they reword, questions, and they ask you twice, but they kind of reword the same question. They really try to trick you, and I don't think my mindset was there right then and there. I went in a little bit too confident thinking I knew it, and people did tell me, when you do go to real estate school, they teach you different things. They may not go over all the new concepts, or, maybe, it just depends. So I felt like, oh, maybe the school's not teaching me everything I need to know. And, but luckily that they were. I just was overlooking a lot of things. So I walked in too confident.
So we're talking to Latoya Tolbert Watson. Toya sells homes right here on the podcast for business. Visit the website, homebutbiz.com, and sign up at the top of the page for our free newsletter where you discover your number one asset and how to use it to live the life that you want. Now, Latoya, these next few questions I like to ask to get more of an insight into the way you think. So which one defines you more? Are you results-oriented or process-oriented?
I am definitely process-oriented. Just like I said, I didn't know if my niche was real estate until I really got that first transaction, and I really kind of, got into it. I said, okay, this is really something I can do. And from my first transaction, it's been going uphill from there. Now, if I'm sitting kind of dormant for quite some time, then I have to kind of rethink things, like, okay, what am I really doing? But because everything has been so steady and I've been blessed to have transactions ever since, I definitely think I'm more proud of.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when it comes to making major decisions, are you the type of person that values official data and resources or an internet search?
A little both. I won't say one solely over the other because they both help me in my career. But I don't do solely either or. Internet is very reliable because, you have all the new resources and, keep to date as far as what's going on in the market. Maybe, you want to see what's going on because I'm in Southern California. Maybe you want to know what's going on in Northern California. You don't really know agents up there or something like that. You want to keep up with what's going on in your state. But then, too, I like to be hands-on with some of my seasoned realtors and kind of get information from them, exchange information, and work closely with my agents too as well. So it's kind of a little bit of both.
Okay. So I heard you say you're in Southern California. What part?
I'm in Long Beach.
Long Beach. Awesome. Okay, totally off track. I've got an aunt that stays in Compton. I don't know how far that is away, and yes, my aunt's a little ghetto, but, we love her.
I just sold the property in Compton, so it's all.
So funny story. Okay, long story. My brother, he went to the University of Florida. I know it's total other side of the country, right?
Okay.
So their colors are blue. Okay.
Okay.
He lives with my aunt for maybe 2 weeks, and he wants to go see his favorite team play, but he's got to go to the sports bar.
Okay.
The thing is, he's wearing a blue jersey in the wrong part of town.
Oh. Yeah, well.
If it wasn't for Auntie, my brother might have had a bad day. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I think so. And it's sad, but it's like it's real too. It's real. It's been like that for a long time.
Great people in Compton. Like I said, I got family members there, but I'm just telling you the story about my brother. So next question.
You know what? Compton is a great city. I will say I just closed on a deal in Compton. And the neighbors were fantastic. And it's a lot of older people who still stay in Compton. So, obviously if they think it's a great city, then, it's still developing. It's still developing. So.
Cool, man. Cool. So I think my last question, Latoya, is, of course, everybody wants a successful business and everybody wants to be successful. But what's the number one personal reason that you hope to be successful for?
I do it. I'm gonna tell you who I do it for. I do it for my son. He depends on me, and I used to be afraid of rejection and this and that. But really, honestly, I don't have an option to be scared or be nervous or be afraid of hard work. I can't do that. I can't sit around and wait for it to come to me. Hard work is not going to come overnight. It's a consistent thing, but when it comes, it's going to come full force, and it's going to pay off. And for me, I'm able to give my son the best because we were in a dire situation, and I don't ever want to be back in that situation. Right now, he depends on me. So my hard work stems from making sure that my family is okay and making sure that, I do what I need to do and focus. And it's an everyday thing. You get up, eat and breathe, and live real estate, and that's what this industry is about. But I love it. I get up and enjoy what I do. So I'm very blessed.
Man, well, I love that answer. Latoya Tolbert Watson with Toya Sells Homes on the Podcast for Business. Latoya, would you like to give the listeners a way to find out more information about you?
Well, I have a website, toyasellshomes.com, and all of my listings are there. And also there's a search engine just in case there's something that you're looking for in particular that is not on my website. And I'll be happy to help anybody that's looking to sell or buy or invest in real estate.
Awesome. Latoya Tolbert Watson with toyasellshomes.com. Thanks for taking your time out right here on the Podcast for Business.
Thank you so much for having me.
Connect. Capitalize. Go.